assignment due today that I extended via email to next Tuesday, February 7th. How many of you did that already, though, by the time you got my email? Some of you? Okay. Not a whole lot of go-getters, it looks like. Anyways, even if you did it, I'm going to go through a couple things. So this is take-home assignments, first Excel assignment. And I'm going to do, together with you, I'm going to do 2 and 3. So that's roughly, 40% of the assignment I'm going to do with you, right now. So if we look at this, this is going to be handed in, stapled together. You know, I'll bring a stapler. But on Tuesday, I want it to be put in a Word document, print it out, and hand it in. So we're going to do 2 and 3 because I think that's a good thing to look at. So it says, using the Superstore sales file, please estimate 9% constant transaction market share. I'm sorry, I want to do 2 first. Please estimate with 95% constant the average amount of shipping costs for all transactions by analyzing the shipping cost column. So I want to estimate the average shipping cost. Here is my data. So let's bring up that data. Okay, and you can see we have a huge file here. You know, it starts in row 1. If we do control end, wow, goes to row 8400. So it looks like we have about 8,399 transactions. I want to analyze the K column, average shipping cost. But I know that I have, and I'm going to go over here to material by chapter, chapter 9, introduction estimation. Remember, I have this template that helps me helps me estimate things. And there's 2 tabs on this template we've used so far. If we want to estimate the mean, we use Z estimate mean. If we want to estimate the proportion, we use Z estimate proportion. Right now, we want to estimate the mean, the average shipping cost, right? So we're going to use Z estimate mean. It looks like, according to this, to do that, I need the following things. I need the sample mean, the standard deviation, the sample size, and the confidence level. So if we go back to my problem, some of this was given. It said, let's see, 95%. I'm doing number 2. That's great. That means this is 0.95. I still need the mean, the standard deviation, the sample size. How would I get those 3 things for shipping cost? How would I get the mean, the standard deviation, and the count? Go ahead, Malik. Sure. So all I need to do is data analysis, descriptive statistics, click OK. I'm going to click on K because that'll highlight the whole column. Just click on the top, the K, highlights the whole column for me. The data is in columns. There are labels in the first row, so I want to check that box. New worksheet, apply, summary statistics. I click OK. Excel does its work for me. And it comes up with this table. It has a mean, has a standard deviation, and has a count. Those are exactly the things I'm looking for. So I'm going to copy that table over to my estimator workbook. Just copy it below, just so I have it in one place. And I'm going to say, all right, here's the mean. Let's copy it up and put it with the mean. Here's the standard deviation. Let's copy that and put it where the standard deviation goes. And here's the count. Let's copy that up to here. Through the magic of templates, Excel says, given this information, we're estimating that the shipping cost is somewhere between, the average shipping cost is somewhere between $12.47 and $13.21. Okay? What I would do then, we're not done with number 2, but this is done with the first part of number 2. I'd copy that. I would go into Word, right? Create a blank document. This is number 2. And I would paste that in, but instead of just pasting it, yeah, that looks okay. But what I would do is I'd go to Paste, and I'd do Paste Special, and paste it as a bitmap. And what that does, a bitmap is like a picture, so it copies it as like a picture, one big picture, and then I can make it bigger or smaller. It's like a picture now. So that's my information, and then right below this picture, I would write, I'm estimating with 95% confidence that the average shipping cost is somewhere between $12.47 and $13.21. Yes, Evan.
We'll submit it. We want the data.
Sure, why not? Yeah.
Do you have to have the?
Did you do it already?
Like 2 of them
I won't take off for that, but it's nice to have. Why is it nice to have? Because I can see, like, if you screwed something up, where you might have screwed up. So I'm not going to take off if you don't have it. So if you did it already, don't. But if you haven't done it already, it doesn't hurt to include it. Okay, it's more complete. Now this is what caused me. This next part is what caused me, because a student asked me about this, and I said, oh man, I really should have showed them better how to do this. The second part of this same question says, then do the same analysis, but only for those items that are being shipped via express air. So I want to estimate the average shipping cost for express air items. Not all 8,000 of these items, but just those that are being shipped express air, because we have regular air, delivery truck, but there's some express airs in here. There's an express air. So I want to estimate the shipping cost for just those that are express air. So if you think about it, I kind of want to parse those out. You know what I mean? Like separate those. I just want to look at the express air ones. How can I do that? Does anyone have an idea of how I can do that? Yeah, very good. Desiree's right. I can create a pivot table. So let's do that. I'm going to highlight all my data. So A, why the hell not? A to V. I'm going to go to Insert, Pivot Table. It says, hey, is this the data you want? Yeah, that's it. I click OK. And I'm going to drag Ship Mode to the rows. And that's kind of what that does for me, right? It's going to parse it out. It's going to say, oh, you have delivery truck, you have express air, you have regular air. And then what I want to analyze there is shipping costs. So I'm going to drag shipping costs to the values. And it tells me the count. But I'm not looking to estimate proportion or spent by express air. I'm looking to estimate the average shipping cost for those that sent express air. How can I look at just those 983? I want the mean, the standard deviation. Well, 983 is the sample size for just those 983. How can I do that? How can I just analyze those 983? There's a couple ways we can do that. Does anyone have a way? If I want to drill down on things in a pivot table, what do? Do you guys remember? I can sort of slicer and that filters things. But how about if I want to take those 983 and put them in a separate worksheet altogether? Very good. Daniel's right. If I just double click on those 983, it builds me a new tab that only includes express air, which is what I'm looking for, right? Only the values that are express air. Now I can do data analysis, descriptive statistics. On column K again, this column K though, for just the express air deal, click OK. And now it says, hey, here's the mean of the ones that are shipping cost or express air. Here's the standard deviation. Here's the count. And then that's the data I put into my template. Does that make sense? I had to get a subset of those and then analyze that subset. Does that make sense? Anyone have a better way? That's one way, but anyone have a better way? So we're counting shipping costs. What else can we do with shipping costs? You guys remember? What were other things we could do with shipping costs? Well, one of the things we can do is let's drag shipping costs down here again to below count. Now I have it redundant, right? I have it count, count. But for this second one, this one I just drug down, click that drop down and go to value field settings. We're counting, but oh, look, we can also do what? Take an average. There's that $7.98 that we also have over here. What else did I need? What else did I need? I need standard deviation. So let's drag shipping cost again down here. Let's change that one. Value field settings. We don't want sum, we don't want count, we don't want average. If I go down a little bit, you see STD, DEV. That's the standard deviation. So now I have the count, I have the standard deviation, and I have the average shipping cost with express error. That would be my input into the estimator's template. Does that make sense? Yep. So that would be the second part of number 2. I don't care which way you do it, but that's what we have to parse those out. Okay. Now number 1 is easier than number 2. So you should be able to do number 1 without my help, right? You have to do number 1 on your own. This is a confidence interval of a mean, so you're going to use that same mean template. Number 3 is using that Superstore sales file, but now I'm doing a proportion. I want to know the proportion of these transactions that were for Miko brand, right? There's other brands out there, ABC, XYZ, SFU. I want to know the percentage, estimate the proportion that are Miko brand. So if we look at that estimator template again, there is a tab called Z estimate proportion. And the 3 things we need to estimate a proportion are the confidence level. Well, that's given, so we're good there. I think it said 99%. The sample size, we'll have to figure that out, but I think it's 8,399, so I know that. So all I'm really looking for is the sample proportion. So if we go to the Superstore sales file, and I look at my original data, and let's see, where is brand? Oh, it's column R. How do I get the percentage of people that chose Miko brand for their transaction? How do I get that percentage? I want to count the number of people who got Miko divided by the number of transactions total. So how can I do that? Give me one way I can do that. One way I could do that is a pivot table, right? I can say, what's the other way I could do it? I'm not going to do it that way, but what's the other way I could do it? Count if. I could count the number of Mikos. If I take column R, I only need column R in this case. Say insert, pivot table. I drag brand down to the rows, brand down to the values, and it's telling me of the 8,399 transactions, 3,600 were Miko brand. But that's not a proportion. That's not my p hat. How would I get p hat? What would the math be to get p hat? 3,600 divided by the total 8,399. I could make Excel do that for me by putting in a little equation. I could say equal, what is that, B5 divided by B9, which gives me that 42.86%. What else could I do? What else could I do to make Excel do that for me? I can drag brand down here again and change it from count, go value field settings, to say show value as percentage of the grand total. And I have that 42.86%. So why not? I'm going to take this whole table, so I have it in one place. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to go over to my estimator workbook. so I have it in one place. My sample proportion is 0.4286. My sample size would not be 3,600. The entire sample needs to go in here. How many did I sample total? 8,399. And did I want 99%? 90%, okay, so I got to change that to 90%, 0.90. And it's telling me, you know, somewhere between roughly 42% and 43.75%. That's the percentage of the market that MECO owns, right? Somewhere between 42% and 43.75%. Does that make sense? That's my answer to the first part. The second part says, well, if there are 5 million transactions completed in this product category annually, I want to know the number of transactions, the number of sales that MECO brand will have. So I'm getting somewhere between 42% and 43.75% of that 5 million. So I want to know the number of transactions, the number of sales I would get. How do I get the number? What would I need to do? Multiply it by the population. So I would say equal E5 times 5 million, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and equal E6 times 5 million. So I'm saying I'm going to get roughly, get rid of those decimal places, you know, somewhere between 2.1 million and 2.18 million. So that's how many sales I'm estimating of my MECO brand soap or whatever the hell I'm selling. Okay. So that's number 3. You copy and paste that into Word just like we did for number 2. You write a little sentence below, and you hand that in. Now, 1 is a mean, 4 and 5 are proportions. They're in the book, but they're proportions. So if you can do number 3, you should be able to do 4 and 5. If you can do number 2, you should be able to do 1. So I'm going to make that worth like, I don't know, 25 points. You know, so I'm looking for a lot of 25s out of 25. I'm hoping for a lot of 25s out of 25, right? Because you should know how to do that now. And if you don't, I recorded what we just talked about today. You know, you can watch that on your own and go through and slow it down and say, all right, where did he click now? What the hell is he talking about? You know what I'm saying? So you can do that work. So you should, there's no doubt in my mind that I should get 80% of you should have a 25 out of 25 on this. Questions on that? So you're going to hand that in on Tuesday. The other thing that we're going to do Tuesday is because, you know, because I don't always trust everything, I want to make sure you can do it while I'm watching you do it. So under sample exams, I'm going to give you an in-class Excel exam on Tuesday as well. To prepare you for that, I've created this sample problem that I want you to do now. This is the Sacramento Bee. These are actual real estate transactions from Sacramento in, I think, 2008. That's that file that I have up there. I want you to do 1 and 2. 1 is estimate the average sales price. 2 is estimate the proportion of sales that were for 3-bedroom apartments. And then you're going to put that in Word. So it is now 11:45. I'm going to give you roughly 10 minutes to work on this yourselves. Ask me questions if you have questions. A little lab time. And then I'll do it together. We'll do it together. I'll do it up here, right? So if you can do this, you're going to have no problems doing the one we have in class on Tuesday. That'll be another, let's say, 15 points. So that's 40 points. So 80 points, 40 points. Hopefully that's 40 out of 40 for you. So, you know, I mean, that's 120 points. We can hopefully escalate, if you did poorly, escalate your grade a little bit, okay? So begin. All right, so for part one, we're estimating an average sales price with 95% confidence. So once again, I'm going to use my estimator workbook template. And if I look at that, I'm going to get rid of this because that's old. I need mean, standard deviation, sample size, and confidence level. If I go to my data, the sales price here is in column J. I need to analyze that and get those three things. How would I get those three things? You guys know. Data, data analysis, descriptive statistics, column J, labels in first row, new worksheet apply, summary statistics. I click OK. It gives me all that information. God bless you. I'm going to copy that table. I'm going to paste it over here. It says the average price. I'm going to copy that to my mean. Standard deviation is right here. I'm going to copy that to my standard deviation. The count is 985. I'm going to put that here. It wanted to know at 95% confidence, so I don't need to change that. I got to make this bigger because it just truncated it. I might as well make this look like money since we're talking about home sale prices. So we're estimating with 95% confidence the average sales price of a home or a residence in Sacramento is somewhere between $225,000 and $242,000. The follow-up for that is I want to figure out the average sales volume of real estate transactions in Sacramento. So if there's 50,000 of those a year, and the average between here, how would I get the average total? What would I need to do? This is the average for one, and there's 50,000. How do I get the average total? I multiply the top and the bottom by 50,000, right? So this would be equal E5 times 50,000. And this would be E6 times 50,000. So it looks like somewhere between 11.275 billion and $12.139 billion worth of real estate transactions in Sacramento annually. Right? So that's taking the one, setting out the 50,000. That's number one. You guys were able to do that? Good. And then you have to write a little narrative. B says, number two, and you'll have two parts just like this, estimate with 99% confidence the proportion of the transactions that are for 3 bedrooms. So if we look at our estimator template again, and I look at Z estimate proportion, well, I need the following things. I need the sample proportion, the sample size, and the confidence level. It's telling me 99% confidence level. So I'm just going to put in 0.99 there. And if I go to my data, my original data, I want to count the number of these transactions that were for 3-bedroom apartments or 3-bedroom residences. So column E has that data in it. So how could I count the number of 3s? I could use COUNTIF or column E, pivot table, click OK, drag beds to the rows, drag beds to the columns. I can see of the 985 transactions, 413 of them were for a 3-bedroom apartment. That's not a proportion though. How would I get the proportion? I would divide, I could do equal 413, which is in B7, divided by the total, which is B13, and it tells me roughly 41.92%. Or I could force Excel to do it by dragging that down there again and changing the value field settings to show value as percentage of grand total. I don't care how you do it. Now we have our data for our estimator template. I'm going to copy it over into that workbook. My sample proportion is 0.4193. My sample size needs to be the total sample, not 413, but 985. I'm saying somewhere between 37.88% and 45.98% are for 3-bedroom residences. If there's 50,000 annually, how do I get the number? Once again, what would I do? Multiply the top and the bottom by 50,000, which gives me somewhere between 18,940 and 22,990 transactions. So I can now say in Sacramento, that's about the number of 3-bedroom residences exchanged over the course of a year. And I'm 99% confident that the true value is in that range. So, I don't know, I did that in probably, I know I didn't put all in Word and type around that, but we probably did that in, I did that in 5 minutes. So if I quadruple that time, it gives you 20 minutes, right? That seems about appropriate, right, Ponder? Okay. So about 20 minutes on Tuesday. So that'll be worth 15 points. So 25 points for the take home, 15 there. You know, this, I'm giving you more points because it is more important than the manual problem. I mean, this is being able to estimate. This is something that would benefit you if you could do this in the world of business, right? Once where I had no information, now I have some information. No homework other than, well, I guess it's kind of homework. Your take home's due Tuesday, and we're starting Tuesday with your in class. I recorded this and I'll put it up on Blackboard. So if you want to watch it again, please do so. Sean?
Is there an extra problem or is it just the take home?
The take home, and then you're going to do one in class on Tuesday.
Oh, okay.
So no other extra homework. No. All right. Have a great weekend. Stay safe. Malik. Yeah. 1 second. Let me stop recording here.